paint the fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
The fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
And paint the fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
Paint the fucking world.
Welcome to Paint the Fucking World, a podcast for artists by artists. My name is Visual Salt, and I'm joined with my co-host, as always, NULLIN, and we are joined here with Chris Beach, Art by Some Beach. How you doing today, Chris?
I am doing great, Tyler. How you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you stopping by and talking with us tonight. I know it's late on the East Coast.
That's not too bad. I'm always up this late anyway.
Well, nonetheless, thank you for stopping in. You live in New York, correct?
Yes, I do.
Like the city of New York, or like just in the state?
No, I'm in the city. I'm in the Bronx.
You're in the Bronx. Man, how's that?
That's fine. I'm in the nice neighborhood of the Bronx, so it's not too bad.
Right on. Have you lived there your whole life?
I have, born and raised. I'm actually still in my parents' house right now.
Oh, nice.
Moved out for a while, but I came back in, tried to save some money up, you know?
Sure. I know how that goes. I've done that a few times in my past.
Hey, it's necessary.
Yeah. Like New York seems to be like a huge art hub. I mean, there's like two major art hubs in the United States, and I feel like New York and LA, they're kind of branching out in other cities, but New York and LA are definitely the major art hubs. What's it like living in such an art-centric town?
It's pretty awesome, actually. Like, I'm not big into doing graffiti or anything myself, or murals or whatnot, but driving around, I see them everywhere. Like, you drive down any street, you'll find something spray painted on the side of a building. Especially like driving to my girlfriend's house in Brooklyn, I see so much artwork everywhere, and it's amazing. It's just so cool.
I bet. I mean, there's just so many people who you know, like, had their careers blow up in New York. So I just feel like there's so much art history there. You can't. I feel like it'd be everywhere. Do you ever make it out to like any gallery openings or museums and things like that?
I go out to the museums every now and again. I'm heading out to the Natural History Museum next week with my mom. Got her a birthday gift. She wants to go to like the gem exhibit, and then we'll walk around and see the other galleries. But a few years ago, there's this artist that I follow on Instagram. Her name is Heather Rooney. She does like all colored pencil drawings, but she does them all. Her drawings look like photographs. Like,
wow.
It's insane. The amount of detail she puts into these, you can look at it and just think it's taken with a camera. And she's from Boston, and she actually came to New York, and she had a gallery. So I got to go, and I spent like the evening there, and it was awesome.
I bet. I mean, I'm always listening to this other podcast and always talking about all these gallery openings in New York. And I'm like, oh man, I just kind of feel like I'm in the wrong part of the country. But I'm from a very, very small town, so New York with all those people kind of intimidates me.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, even having grown up here, it's walking around, I'm like, oh god, there's so many people around me all the time.
Oh man, I bet, like, I don't know if my fuzzy little head would probably explode. I like my core group of people, but besides that, I'm like, I can't be around that many people.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. Like, who was your like, being from New York, do you have any favorite artists that are specifically from New York that you've always followed?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am so bad with names. Like, I'll see artwork and I'll be like, oh, this piece, I really like that, but I don't know names.
Sure.
I'm so bad with it.
Understandable.
Yeah,
Understandable. I know, like, you know, like Warhol and Basquiat, and then you have Keith Haring. Yeah, Keith Haring was another, you know, that New York crew in the late
Banksy.
70s and 80s.
No.
I know Banksy's not New York, but I still love his work.
No, I'm sure New York has Banksy's within the city there.
Oh, I'm sure.
You don't know? You've never seen any of his work there?
I haven't seen any Banksy's like spray painted around. I know there's actually a Banksy exhibit now that I've yet to go to, but I've been really wanting to. And I forgot the name of it. It's like Banksy, like Hero or Vandal or something like that. But
okay.
Hero or Vandal, I like that.
Yeah, like I've been a fan of Banksy's work for a really, really long time. I love it.
Yeah, no, he's definitely he's taken the the whole art world and moved it in a completely different direction with kind of making graffiti art more of a instead of a kitsch lowbrow art, he's taken it into the upper echelon of the art community, which is really cool. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of jump into like your art history per se.
Okay.
You know, most artists say they've been creating since childhood, but when did you start like taking your art serious and wanting to create, you know, what you do and things like that?
I guess taking it really seriously would probably actually be when you and I, when we did that collab last year. Because, you know, I've been drawing since I was a kid. I learned from my cousin and whatnot. My mom taught me some, and I learned it in school. But I was always drawing in class and whatnot. I was always doodling, and I love superheroes. I love anime, so I was always drawing the characters in my notebooks instead of actually taking notes. But I never really put the work into it. Like, I took classes in college, and I was like, all right, this is cool. I got a little bit better. But then when we got to talk and we were like, hey, let's do that collab, I was like, oh, shit, like, if this is going across the country and we got 4 different artists working on this, like, I really need to bring my best work forward. And so I really feel like I took it seriously there, where I really tried honing my skills to make sure I got the perfect image. And then now with this upcoming collab, I'm like, oh, I really need to like work on this. So I've been trying to like practice more and more and more. So it's been more recent that I've really like started taking everything seriously.
No, I've noticed this like huge jump in like the work you're doing, and it's been pretty incredible to watch like your transition. Like the collab we did was really amazing. It turned out so fantastic.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I had to put that up over here. Like,
yeah,
I got the original one right here. I still need to find a name for it.
Yeah, I was so nervous with that collaboration because you guys did all these amazing pieces, and I was like, I don't really know anything about anime, and I need to educate myself a little bit. Everybody did anime characters, and I was like, fuck, okay.
I know. Unfortunately, that was all of our niches. Nah, but your Skeletor, man, I love how that came out.
Yeah,
I agree, man.
I had a lot of fun with that, and it was, I mean, that really kind of, you know, you kind of jump-started the whole paint the fucking world community. You know, you kind of get some credit there, because without that collaboration, we probably wouldn't have started this next collaboration, which ended up to the Discord, and it would have just been a saying that I kept saying over and over again. But now here we are, because you asked me to be part of that collaboration. So, you know, you definitely have a big hand in that.
Thank you.
You know,
I mean, in all honesty, credit all goes to Jeff for getting it started with the Panda Pac.
Yeah.
Like, he reached out to me initially, and he said, because he sent me that picture of Kakashi on one of the other boards. I don't have it up on here, but he sent the drawing to me, and he was like, hey, I want to do a collab. Like, you draw something on here, and then we have a piece for the 2 of us. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then I got the idea. I was like, but what if we got more people? So that's when I reached out to my cousin Joey, and then to you as well, because I was watching your work all on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I love the way you do everything with your spray paint. So I was like, I think you would be perfect to like tie this all in together. And that's how we got this collab here with these 2 and the 2 others. And then, like you said, now we're stepping forward to the even bigger collab for the Child's Play donation.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for that. And I was so nervous for that collaboration. Like I said, I was like, man, I gotta step my game up. And I kind of completely got out of my normal style of artwork and did something different, but I'm really happy I did, because it took my art in a new direction after that collaboration. So it was such a cool thing to be a part of. And
yeah, it was awesome. I loved everything about that.
Yeah. You know, besides doing like the traditional on the paper, you also do digital work.
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite between like the illustration or like the illustrations on digital? I mean, what do you prefer?
I mean, it's a real toss-up, because I've been doing digital art now for 2 years. I just started 2 years ago. I got an iPad for Christmas, and I was like, oh, cool, I can give this a shot. And, you know, I've been fucking around with it, trying new different techniques, watching videos on YouTube. And I've grown to love it so much just for the convenience of it, you know? Like, I can zoom in to the really, really small details, so I can just do those little lines. I can just tap the screen to erase something. And so I did that for 2 years straight, and then actually getting ready for the collab, I was like, oh, I need to practice drawing on paper again. I haven't done this in so long. So I'm drawing on the paper in my sketchbook. And I put my hand on the paper and I tried to zoom in and I go, oh, fuck.
No.
That's so funny.
TikTok trend in real life.
Yo, for real though. Like, and I'm tapping on the paper to erase. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, damn it. But no, but I mean, I do love drawing on paper. Like, it's just as much as I love drawing on the iPad and how convenient it is, nothing beats the feel of like a pencil in your hand and feeling the scratch on the paper.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'll ever stop loving that.
Yeah, I've tried when I was in college. I tried doing digital artwork, and for me it was and granted this was like a decade ago, so things have progressed quite a bit, and I hear that they can actually make the pens feel like there's a drag on the paper. Mm-hmm. But for me, like when I was trying, I was like, I'm all over the place. Like I'm a teenager learning to drive here.
Yeah, no, it took a lot of getting used to.
Yeah,
agreed.
I actually years before I had tried getting into it. My ex had bought me a drawing pad to hook up to my computer, but it didn't have a screen on it. It was just a black pad with a pen.
Yeah.
So it was really weird trying to get the feel of drawing on this while looking at my computer screen, and I just couldn't get like the connect between. So now that I'm on an iPad and I can see what I'm doing, I'm like, oh, this is so much better.
No, I agree, man. I was in the same boat, and that's why it took me forever to get into digital. If it wasn't for the iPad, I'd still be doing traditional all the way. But I agree, it takes your brain a little bit of a little to interpret exactly what you're doing, and I just could not get into that.
Yeah, but what's really cool too, like I use the program Procreate. And there's so many different brushes that you can use. So the one pen stroke can have so many different looks and feels to it. You can adjust how thick your line is, how thin it is, how opaque, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
because I save money on buying markers for colors and shit. So
right,
I spend like at least $30 to $40 a week. So yeah. I know how the struggle there is real.
So I've got another project in line that I want to start working on next week, and the amount of colors that I'm going to need for it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to spend at least $200 on these, just on the markers.
Oh man,
it's insane.
Yeah, and they burn out so quick. Like
they really do.
When I'm working on the drawings for my zine, which you're a part of this month, that's like I burn through like 4 or about 6 markers between what I'm using for my liners and things like that in a week. So
it's nuts.
It goes through really quick. But since you like introduced the iPad and Procreate into your work with that digital aspect, has that changed like the scope of like how you draw or like what you draw, like your topic or your subject matter?
Not really, because I mean, like I said, I've always been drawing superheroes and anime characters, so now I can just do it a little bit faster and I can color them a lot better.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it hasn't really changed anything. In fact, that Velma drawing that I did, that's been different from what I normally do. Yeah, spicy Velma.
That piece is amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah. Chris is going in this month's zine because this month's zine is Scooby-Doo themed, so that's just happening. Because my goal was everybody in the collab, I would do that once a month, and you would have been like month 6. Okay. I was like, nope, you just got bumped to month 3, so because that just makes sense. But
that's maybe been the only like variation from my style lately, because I don't really draw real people anymore. I haven't drawn from a live reference in the longest time. Hell, I haven't done a self-portrait in years. I probably should, but
I did self-portraits when I was in college, and for the longest time I hadn't done one, like in high school, and then I think I did one in college, and then last year I decided I was going to do a self-portrait. And it was kind of liberating, doing that again and like choosing the photo that I was going to work with. And yeah, it was definitely, I was like, okay, it kind of feels good to get back with like the paintbrush and working with acrylics and blending, because I wanted to do something that was not just with spray paint and like pen, and so I wanted to actually blend it and actually do something different. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do one every 3 or 4 years and just kind of keep wanting to do something different. Maybe once a year, depending on time, but who has time? But there was a question in here is who are your favorite artists? And coincidentally, that is my next question here. Who are some of your favorite artists that you like? I know you draw a lot of anime and things like that. So do you have like favorite anime artists that you follow?
Again, I'm terrible with names. But I mean, like
Toriyama.
I mean, yes, who doesn't love Akira Toriyama? No, but I mean, like, I do love Van Gogh. I remember we were talking about a while ago how I went to the Van Gogh exhibit. I actually, I have a Van Gogh tattoo. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's gonna be up now, but I don't know if I can. Somehow, there we go.
Oh, nice.
You got the sleeping skeleton and his sunflowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that actually when I went to Amsterdam a few years ago. I was like, oh, I need to do something here. But as for anime artists, I like Tite Kubo. He's the artist from Bleach, I think.
I've heard of Bleach.
Yeah, Bleach is phenomenal. That's really good.
Yeah, I'm bad with names too, man. So,
actually, you ever heard of the anime De Grey Man?
No.
So that's a really good one. It came out a few years ago. It's basically the long and short of it is there's exorcists exorcising demons, but the demons are like mechanical monsters created by this bad guy.
Okay.
And so like the artist is Katsura Hoshino. So this is one of the books here, and just the artwork for this is amazing.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite series, like one of my favorite artists. Fullmetal Alchemist. I love the artwork there. I have no idea who the artists are for that.
Okay, so do you like Brotherhood or the original Fullmetal?
So I watched the original first because that was the version that was out here, and I bought the entire series and I watched it through like 2 or 3 times, and I really enjoyed it. But then when I heard about Brotherhood, it blew the other one out of the water. Like Brotherhood's my absolute favorite. I've watched that probably 8 times.
Is this something that I should probably start watching?
Yes, you should.
Yeah, it has to do with alchemy, and it's really dramatic, but in a good way. It's not like overly how mainstream anime is, how everything's about friendship and over the top and all that stuff. So like this is it brings you. So I had a friend that said that they couldn't watch it because it got too real. They're like, no, this is it's too dramatic.
No, it really does.
Too many feels. Like it just got too real, and I'm like, that's like one of the reasons to watch that. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm literally watching the real Ghostbusters from like 1987 with my son right now because that's like all I ever watch is like cartoons now.
Nice.
Like I just watched Encanto. Does that count? Like,
I haven't seen that yet. I hear it's really good. I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, the Bruno song's like all over the net right now.
I was like, I don't want to watch this. And then my wife's like, we're watching it. You don't have a choice. You can leave. So I was like, all right. And I was sucked in. She was up doing stuff. And I was like, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, watch this movie. And she's like,
no, it was so good.
You like it? I'm like, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was drying my eyes. Yeah, no. I got a little misty-eyed there for a hot minute. I'm kind of an emotional guy.
I'll watch that tomorrow.
No, it's good. It really is good.
Now, you do a lot of anime, but you also are a big comic book guy. Now, comic book, I can actually like talk about a little bit more.
Okay.
Do you have like a favorite comic book artist? Like Jim Lee or something like that?
So I love Jim Lee. He's absolutely one of my favorites. I think my top 2 would be Jim Lee and Alex Ross.
Okay. Like, Alex Ross is the hyper realism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's more of a cover artist.
By him. What's that?
He's more of a cover artist, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I have one of his books where he did the art for the entire book.
Oh, sure.
It's really? The Justice League Kingdom Come.
Okay.
And if you haven't read that one, you should. It's fantastic. It takes place like in the future. So Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they're all a couple years older, but it's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I love my comic books. So I mean, I don't read like the mainstream. I'm more of an indie comic book. Um I love Image and
Okay.
Vertigo before it went to DC Black.
Yep.
So I'm definitely an indie comic book guy because I love Batman. That Batman's always going to have a special place in my heart because that was my introduction into the comic book world. But for me, like I just like the independent comics just are so good.
Yeah, no, there's some really good ones out there.
Yeah.
So since you mentioned Kingdom Come, man, like, are you in like, is DC the way you go normally, or do you have like a favorite comic book company or a favorite comic book?
I mean, I kind of flip flop between the two because I love Marvel and I love DC. But I mean, if I had to pick, my top superhero is Superman. I just love him.
Nice.
Yeah, Superman, Batman, but I love the Spider-Man comics. Iron Man was really cool. I like reading all of his fights. But I think if anything, with Marvel, I lean more towards Spider-Man. I think I have more Spider-Man comics than anything else.
Okay.
Nice. But yeah, I flip flop between the two. I can't choose a favorite.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I love, like, especially when they introduced like the Spider-Verse, and you got to see all these crazy Spider-Man. Like, they created different. It was just really, really cool. But yeah, I agree with you, man. Spider-Man is definitely one of the top.
Speaking of the Spider-Verse, did you see the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse 2?
Yes, dude. They got Miguel in there.
I cannot wait.
I didn't realize there was another one coming out. I liked the first one a lot. I thought it was
great.
One
was amazing. They did such a great job with that.
I mean, they had Spider-Pig. So
yeah, they had Spider-Pig. Yeah. Quick side note, man. Spider-Pig is actually in the beginning of like the Spider-Gwen. You know how I'm like super into Spidey-Gwen? Well, in the first couple comics, he is kind of like her inner conscience, and she like knows he's not there, but he talks to her a lot. And so I thought it was really, really fun and funny that they brought him in, and she's like, you're not real. And he's like, I know, but you're making me real. So I'm teaching you how to be a Spider-Man. But
I actually, because of that movie, I went and I bought like, I think 12 Spider-Gwen comics. Like, I just found an entire series, and I'm like, I'm buying all of these. I have to read them all.
Yeah, dude, they're doing so like a lot of different things with her. She started with her powers. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to spoil anything if you're into it. But so Tyler, yeah, dude. So Into the Spider-Verse, the second one that's coming out. You know how the first one they did a really interesting art style for the whole movie.
Yeah, that's why I really enjoyed that book, is because the art, or that movie, because artistically it was different than what you would normally see with anything that was animation based. Yeah, it was very loose and like kind of very crude almost.
It was a masterpiece, man. It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, no, the artwork that they did for that movie was fantastic.
I'm very passionate about that movie. But the second one, dude, they're doing the same thing, right? But this is like information that you can find right now. They're gonna do different art styles for the different places that they're gonna visit. So,
oh shit, really?
Very stoked on that. I really want to see how they're gonna. Yeah. So can you imagine like going into like Spider-Man Noir's universe?
Yeah, and just all the black and white 1920s.
Dude, and then like Spidey Gwen's comic is very like edgy, or not edgy, but like very sharp and almost like cyberpunk like colors and stuff. So going into her dimension is going to be. I'm just really stoked on how they're going to pull out the different art styles and all the different dimensions. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Now, besides like anime and comic books and things, what are some of the other things that you find inspiration from? Music, things like that. I mean,
I don't know. Like, I've tried like what's it called, the Synesthesia, where you draw what you see with music or whatnot. I tried it years ago, realized I cannot do it. I was just making scribbles on the page. No, like I listen to music and I'll kind of get a beat for something, and that kind of just gets me in the zone while I draw. But it's not so much that I draw so much inspiration from it, you know? Like, a lot of my stuff is I'll be watching anime and I'll see a really cool scene and I'm like, I'll pause my screen. I'm like, all right, hold on. I'll take a picture. I'm like, I'm going to draw that later. You know?
Gotcha. You just you use music as more of a background fodder for you to just kind of
it's more
what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's, I guess, depending on what I'm drawing, kind of determines the music I'll put on. Like if I'm drawing like some crazy fight scene, I'll put on a little bit more of a hard rock, or if I'm drawing something more mellow, I'll go more instrumental. You know.
For sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just sets the mood for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
So, we've talked about your anime and your comic book stuff. It's most of what you draw is very pop culture based, but you do get away from that with some of the work you do. I like the you have one of the pieces hanging behind you that I actually have a print of the skeletons and yeah. So
and I got the other one.
Yep, you got this one here.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like
both of those? I thought of wearing one of them, but they're both sleeveless, and it is freezing in my room right now. So,
oh, dude, it's like 40 degrees in my studio right now. I have a heater trained on my legs to keep me warm, so I feel that. Like, do you have do you prefer drawing like pop culture stuff? Because I know that you draw that a lot, or do you like to kind of get out and like do from your own head type of work? Because what I've seen from what you've done, like out of your head, has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I mean, I really do like drawing original stuff from my own head. Like these two came to me one night. I was just like, oh, I got into a whole phase of where I was just like astronauts and skeletons. Like I'm going to put these together and I'm going to make it fucking neon. And like I did these two, and I did one more actually. Actually, the first one I did, it's a, like the spacesuit and the hand is reaching forward, and in the glass you see a skull, and I actually got that printed on canvas and whatnot. I have that hanging up in my hallway, and then that's kind of what started it off. I think I did this one next, and then I did this one here. But after those two, it's like, I don't know, I've tried coming up with other ideas and it just went blank on me. So, okay. So at some point something just sparks in my head and I'm just like, oh, I got to draw that. Like that'll look really cool. But otherwise it's more if I'm reading a comic or watching something, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I want to draw it.
Yeah. I for a long time did nothing but pop culture work. And I decided, I was like, I'm gonna step away from pop culture work and I'm gonna try to do something else. And it seems like I always end up going back to what I love, which is TV shows, comic books, music, things like that. Things that influence me. I feel like as kids that were born in the mid 80s and grew up in the 90s, always kind of gravitate towards the things that we hold dear from our childhood, like cartoons and things like that. So I always go back to pop culture stuff, which is funny because I'm like, I'm gonna get away from doing that. I want to be taken serious, and
right.
Here I am. I'm back to doing pop culture shit, and I'm 100% okay with it.
Well, I mean, that's who you are, man.
What happened?
No, I was just saying that's who you are, dude. You don't want to get away from who you are.
Exactly.
But one of the things that I was actually I'm actually very interested in, and I find interesting is the psychology and stuff about art. And one of the things is how you were saying you started with this astronaut with the skull, and then you dived into that and stuff. But it's very interesting how art is so subjective. Like Tyler says that he has that one that's right behind you on the left side, and then I went on the right. Yeah. Like it's just really interesting how I saw both of them and I was like, oh, that one's kind of cool. Oh, I really like this one. I'm sure Tyler probably said the same thing. Like, oh, that one's really cool, right?
But it's very hard to choose.
It was. I'm not gonna lie, but
I got them available, guys. You can each buy one of each. It's perfectly fine by me.
You can find that on his Etsy.
They're on my Etsy. I have like I think 10 prints of everything I've put up, and they're just sitting in my closet right now.
Well, I mean, you have a full-time job though, so you're not like
I do.
I mean, you're trying to get more into the artwork and do more, and you're starting on the right path, but you also work full-time, and I'm sure New York is not a cheap town to live in.
No, it's not.
I've heard that just like to buy a pack of cigarettes there, it's like $20.
Yeah, it's insane. The prices just keep going up and up. I'm so glad I don't smoke.
$20 for a pack of cigarettes?
It's it's like not even for good ones.
We're talking Pall Malls, man. Pall Malls. Now, I know that New York's going through more of a lockdown right now, or a little bit more of a restriction. Has that like hindered going to shows and things like that? Like going out and doing things like that?
In the beginning, it really did because everything shut down when everyone went on lockdown. But now lately, so long as you're vaccinated, like you just need proof of vaccine, and then they still mandate wearing a mask when you're walking around unless you're eating or drinking. But
Sure.
outside of that, everything's pretty much open again.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's been really good. So like I've been going out to a lot more shows. I've been walking around more.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd heard that some of the Broadway shows had like shut down early and things like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure how that was.
Yeah, no, but some of them are still
affecting.
opening up now, so it's been good.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear that. Now we talked a little bit about the zine, and you are going to be featured in this month's zine. And since it is my Halloween, we're going to, of course, talk about horror and Halloween. Are you a horror Halloween fan?
No.
No.
I mean, I've seen a couple of movies, you know, I've liked a handful, but really horror's not my scene.
Gotcha.
I tried, you know, like my friends, it seems everybody I know loves horror. And I've tried getting into it, but it just creeps me the fuck out, man. I can't do it.
I hear you. I mean, Jason Does New York is probably not the movie for you.
But that's the thing. So it's like there's certain like movies that I can watch that don't bother me. Like zombie movies, monster movies, I'm fine with. But when it gets into like the demons and possession and like witches, no. Or actually, what freaks me out the worst is Annabelle. I hate porcelain dolls. Scare the shit out of me. They're creepy. They're soulless eyes. Like, no, get them away from me. I can't do it.
Bro, my mom had a curio when I was in high school full of porcelain dolls.
Yeah, no.
No, you do like some aspects of horror, though. So you like
some of them, yeah.
Yeah, you like zombie movies and things like that. It's kind of hard to not like zombies when, you know, The Walking Dead came out. That was such a huge thing.
I've been watching The Walking Dead since it started. Like, I love The Walking Dead. I mean, more recent seasons, not so much, but when it first started, it was my favorite show.
After season 2, that just went to trash for me. I couldn't do it.
You know what? Season 2 was so slow. I felt like they picked it up a little more in season 3, and then it's kind of been downhill. Like the most recent seasons, I have no idea what the hell's going on anymore.
Yeah, no. I'm like, okay. I know a lot of people were like, I saw memes, I don't know how many years ago, were like, if Daryl dies, we riot.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because he's not even in the comic book.
Nope.
I know, right?
So, I mean, you do like, so you do like factions of horror. Like when it comes like paranormal horror, no, I'm good on that. I don't watch that shit. Like Annabelle, I'm not even going close to that. My wife's watched it, but I was like, no, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I stay away from that. But like, what are your favorite zombie movies or like monster movies that you've watched in the past?
I like the 28 Days Later. That was cool. Which I guess wasn't so much zombie as it was infected, but still same thing.
Those are good.
Like, it was a good deviation away from the common, especially the common zombies that was happening in that era. Like, I really respected both of those.
Yeah, those were really good movies.
I feel like I just read that 28 Days Later is on Disney Plus right now, which I thought was completely crazy. Yeah, I read an article, or it was a headline that says, "Rated R movie taking Disney Plus by storm," and I was like, "What the fuck is on Disney Plus? It's rated R." And I'm like, 28 Days Later? Really? Okay. I'm down for it.
A good one.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. Sure.
Is it part of their National Geographic or is it Discovery that they have? It's a documentary now, apparently.
Is it really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no shit right now.
That'd be hilarious, though. In this small town for 28 days.
Oh, man.
That's by the hunger.
So 28 Days actually reminded me of a movie that I watched as a kid that I was very fascinated by. I don't know if you guys remember it. It's called Outbreak. You guys remember Outbreak?
I've never heard of that one.
Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. I don't know why, but when I first saw that movie, I was like, "Hey, this is just like that one when I saw as a kid." Nobody remembers that movie.
I own that movie.
It's a good one.
It is a great movie. If you haven't watched it, Chris, you really should.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's not really a horror movie, though. I mean, it's more. I wouldn't even know what I would call that movie. Like, it's just a great flick.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, what do they call that? It's like 2012. What do they call those movies? Disaster movies? I would consider it more
like a disaster movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid? I was watching it with my dad, and I think we just happened to be scrolling through the channels, and this movie came on. We had no idea what the hell it was about. From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh,
I've heard you talk about it for a while, and I didn't see the whole movie. We had caught it somewhere in the middle, like right when the women turn into the vampires and they start killing everybody, and it scared the shit out of me. I was so terrified of strip clubs till I was at least 20.
Oh, that's hilarious. Dusk Till Dawn is so good.
But now it's like, I want to go back just to see Salma Hayek. Like,
yeah. So Dusk Till Dawn's a Robert Rodriguez film.
Okay.
He did Desperado.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one either.
You've never watched Desperado?
Dude.
I forget you're quite a bit younger than we are.
A little bit, yeah.
So
the
Antonio Banderas.
I mean, I know Antonio Banderas.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Remember
I've heard the name.
Okay, that is the prequel to Desperado.
Okay.
Man, God, I feel like I should call you son right now because I'm schooling you on all these great movies. Desperado is like one of my favorite movies from childhood, and the fact that I was allowed to watch it when I was a child is kind of fucked up. But that's a great Salma Hayek film.
Okay.
Yeah, she's young Salma Hayek.
Like, it's so good.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna have to send me a list of movies to watch. Like,
I feel like I need to do that too because that movie, yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know the movie that they made before that, like the one that kind of started that whole
Mariachi.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was made with only $10,000.
Yeah, it was super low budget.
Super low budget. And the guns that they had that shot the blanks, I think if like it kept jamming or something. So all the scenes in that movie that you see like with them with the automatics, just it was literally just scenes or I should say like frames snapped on top of each other, so it looked like it was going like
really?
auto. It was like one frame just over and over and over and over again because the guns weren't working.
To repeat that one shot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you need to watch Desperado. And if you don't like Desperado, I don't know what to tell you. You have to like Desperado. It's like one of the greatest movies of all time.
It's a requirement. Like you have to the Discord.
Yeah, you've been voted off the tribe. Anyways, Robert Rodriguez, who did Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez do a lot of things together. Like the Grindhouse movies they did with Death Proof and the Planet Terror. I don't know if you remember those.
I really like Planet Terror.
15 years ago, maybe. Another great movie. It's very, I don't know if you know what like Grindhouse is, but it's like kind of almost pulp movies.
Okay.
Like B-list movies that when they would do a double feature that have the main feature and then they would always show something that was less known afterwards. So they made like a Grindhouse flick, which is it was a double feature together and it's super good.
Nice.
It's super good.
I like that.
Robert Rodriguez did do Machete, yes.
Yes.
A matter of fact, what's his name that played Machete?
Oh, Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Machete.
Yeah.
Desperado was his first movie.
Really?
Yes.
No, actually, I think his first movie was
Don't argue with me, son.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. It was an old gangster movie, man.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm 100%, I'm 99% sure that Robert Rodriguez brought him on and put him in his first movie.
That you might actually be right, but I don't think it was Desperado. Because I do recall something like that. And he's like, "Hey, can you do a thing over here, and he actually got his start by training this boxer dude. I'm trying to remember, not a boxer. It was an, you know,
It was a boxer.
I'll throw it in the Discord. That's what I'll do. Like, check it out.
If you can find it, I'll believe you. Until then, I think it's Desperado.
Hold on.
Well, since you're not a big horror movie fan, do you like read any horror comics or anything like that, or any horror animes? Because I know they have those. I know like Castlevania. Like Castlevania, it's actually pretty good. I've watched some of that.
I love Castlevania. That's another one that I've watched multiple times.
But again, but I've watched it.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. You definitely have to watch it. I think they finished it with season 4 or 5, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I started one of the seasons on Netflix, and I was like, wow, this is really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
So.
And what was crazy too, the first season was only 4 episodes, so like, it was such a tease. Like, they brought in the artwork like this, the story, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And they're like, all right, you have to wait another 1.5 years until season 2. I was like, oh, fuck you. But it was so good. I think every time the new season came out, I might have binged it in like a day.
Yeah, I binged the new Masters of the Universe.
You know what? I'm about halfway through season 2 of that, or part 2.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really
it's better than the original in my opinion.
Okay.
I grew up watching the original He-Man. Yeah. And I was super excited when I bought the box set, and I was like, I'm gonna relive my childhood. And I started watching it. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Because that's how I felt with Thundercats. I went and I bought the box set of Thundercats, and I was watching through that, and I'm like, oh, you could get away with anything in the 80s.
Yeah, I was so disappointed when I started like watching through it. I'm like, oh man, they just have all this like. The only cartoon that I have picked up the box set of that I've been thoroughly happier about it as an adult than I was as a child was the Beetlejuice cartoon.
Yeah, that's been great. I've been watching that with my dad.
Because the adult innuendos in that cartoon, I'm like, how the fuck did they get away with this? Oh yeah, it was early 90s and they can get away with it.
That's pretty standard for the time.
Yeah. Like I'm like, wow, that was when I heard Beetlejuice go, that guy's a tool, and I'm like, okay.
Yep.
This is awesome.
Well, it's like I was recently watching Shrek again, like the very first one, and there was some jokes in that I never caught as a kid. Like there's a scene when Farquaad is laying in the bed and he's watching the mirror and he's like, oh, show me the princess again, right? And it's panning by. The dude goes and picks up the blanket and looks down at his crotch. Like, I never caught that before.
Oh yeah. That movie is full of just adult humor. It is.
Oh, it's so funny.
There's so many things that you like. Even when I was because I think that movie came out when I was in high school, and I was watching this like, oh my god, like my sister was in love with this movie, right? And I was watching it going like, it was very it was just very interesting. But yeah, I mean, we grew up with stuff like Ren and Stimpy. We got this right here, so I'm not really, we're not too shy for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you were a kid, did you like draw a lot of the cartoons that you watched? Like I was always drawing Garfield because Garfield was one of my favorite cartoons. Nice. And still to this day, like that Jim Davis. I read all the books and I read them in the Sunday newspaper, and then I watched the show. It's like I was always drawing Garfield when I was a kid. Do you have any like of those cartoons from your childhood that you would draw a lot?
If anything, I mean, I grew up watching like the Saturday morning cartoons on Channel 11. So anything that was on there, like I was drawing the Yu-Gi-Oh, Sonic, Spider-Man, the Justice League of America. Every time that came on, I would draw Superman all the time, Batman. So that's pretty much where it all started with my superhero love,
Man, see, I didn't get any of those when I was watching Saturday morning cartoons.
No, that was like, dude, that's when I was in high school. So you would have probably been already like graduated and stuff. This guy's talking like what, mid 2000s maybe? early 2000s.
Like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2002.
I graduated in 2010.
Yeah, so these cartoons are coming out after you graduated, man. Like I respect the Saturday morning cartoons for me were more like Bobby's World and the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. And then in high school, I still watched cartoons and I didn't really care. Everybody knew that. And I watched those, like Digimon came out when I was in middle school, Pokemon. And so that kind of transitioned a lot of that generation into Yu-Gi-Oh in high school. And yeah, so I respect that.
You know, I like the whole anime boom kind of happened at that time. Like that's where a lot of that artwork came from, like all that love of that artwork. Like I really love like the anime artwork that I see coming out of the people that I follow. And I'm always kind of jealous because I don't have that love for anime, so I've never been able to really get into drawing it. But I love like how it's drawn and the simplicity of things and the hard edges. And I'm just like, man, I didn't have any of that in my childhood, so I didn't grow up with it. So like Pokemon and all that stuff, like I'm so out of touch with it. Like my daughter downloaded Pokemon Go and it was fun for a hot minute, and I was like, wait, I have to walk to do stuff. This app is requiring me to exercise. I'm a fat guy. I don't do that shit. Delete.
No, yeah, for sure. I remember in middle school, Pokemon and Digimon was like hot at that time, and I had a folder. I had like one of those little just paper folders full of Pokemon drawings. And I had this Ninetales that I drew that I was so proud of. I'm like, oh, this is my best work, you know? And then I get my folder stolen with all of my artwork. And I was like, no, I was so mad. I was so pissed. I was devastated.
I had a commission to paint Charizard.
Oh, nice.
And at the time, like, I was like, oh, what's Charizard? And they're like, it's a Pokemon. I was like, what's Pokemon? And they're like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, I have no clue. And so they had to like send me pictures of Charizard, and I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do, because at that time I was in college, and I was like doing a lot of like more fine art style painting. So
more
like,
adult stuff.
Yeah, I was painting with a palette knife and doing things like that, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue who this is. Like, I don't know anything about this dragon lizard thing, my bobber from a cartoon. I had no.
It's not a dragon.
Whatever.
No, it's this huge like inside joke in the whole Pokemon community. How he's obviously a dragon,
but he's not a dragon type.
Yep. It's a fucking dragon. I don't care how you cut it. It's a dragon.
No, that's a Dagron. That's a Dagron, man.
Dude, there's so many Pokemon that are dragons that don't even look or resemble anything of a dragon that you're just like, really? And they refuse to change it. They're like, no, he's not a dragon, bro.
What the fuck is he?
He's a flying fire type. That's it, right? He's
just a flying fire type. He's just a big old lizard.
So he
breathes fire. He flies. His tail is on fire, but he's not a dragon.
But
okay. So they just he's a fucking dragon. There's no way around that.
Well, Gyarados is a dragon. He's basically a sea worm.
Yeah, right? He's just an angry worm. But a giant worm.
I don't know any of this shit. I'm so out of touch. I'm sure, as my son gets older and starts like finding stuff that he likes, I might like come back around and learn some of this stuff or the new stuff. I might be hip, but right now I'm so fucking out of touch with stuff. It's crazy. Well, we are getting down to my last few questions here. It's kind of been a quick podcast, which is good because everybody's like, you need to keep it under an hour, around an hour. It's always running really super, super long.
I mean, I've watched the other episodes. I've never mind watching for longer.
Yeah, man. Like I've seen the average podcast is about an hour and a half.
Yeah, we push those limits.
Nothing wrong with that.
we push it all the way up to the hour and a half mark. But do you have any questions, Marco?
Do I have any questions? No, most of mine were more anime based, and I feel like we did actually hit it. The only thing I have, if you don't mind going back, I know somebody had asked what your thoughts on Helsing is.
Oh, Helsing was great too. So I've never actually watched the actual Helsing anime. I watched on YouTube the abridged version. So I got the gist of the story just with them making jokes the entire time.
Oh
And
man,
I
the
feel like
abridged
I
version
love
is
that.
so good. It's so
The
good.
Helsing abridged was my favorite thing.
So
That and the
I've seen
DBZ
both.
abridged.
I've seen both, and I think the abridged version is like better. But like I also like the guys from Team 4 Star that do the Dragon Ball Z abridged as well.
Yes.
I can rewatch the abridged Dragon Ball Z all day, but the
Oh, yeah.
original Dragon Ball Z, even after Kai, when they cut all of the unnecessary stuff, like
Yep.
it's really good, and I respect it because it's my childhood. But the abridged one, man, they just make it so much more entertaining.
Oh yeah, I mean the first Broly
Helsing,
movie.
like Van Helsing.
Yes.
No, Helsing is it's about this vampire named Alucard who goes around killing other vampires.
Okay.
So it's a
And
play.
it's really
play on
bad.
that.
Like it's gory. The artwork
Yeah.
is phenomenal, but the abridged version just turns him into a total dick. Like one of
It's
my favorite
funny,
things
man.
was when he was like, "Oh, follow me on Twitter at the Crimson Fucker." Like,
It's so good. But no, honestly, Tyler, he's absolutely right though. If there was an anime that I would say, hey, you might get into this, Helsing, just because it's gory, it has to do with vampires. It's not like your child's anime. It's got a good storyline, and I mean, his name is Alucard, which is Dracula backwards, because he is that.
I would have never, ever, ever in a million years picked that up.
What?
I may have been able to see it, like, but just hearing it, I would have never got that. So,
Yeah, that's why he's like nearly impossible.
spoiler alert! You have to say spoiler alert.
You would have figured it out, Tyler. Trust me, man.
This person says, I hate anime and Helsing is my favorite. All right.
Yeah.
All right. When I
Yeah,
can
no,
get my kid away from not watching cartoons.
He does, man.
I will
He
watch it.
absolutely hates it. There's been a bunch of times where I've actually tried to talk to him into like watching all this stuff. I know this guy. And that's actually the reason why he was asking, because this individual over here likes Helsing. But yeah, that was.
This episode's kind of been brutal for him to listen to. Like, you guys fucking talked about anime the entire time.
all anime, all the time.
He's been He's been on.
So I'm gonna go here with my last few questions here. What's your ultimate like goal for your career? Like what's like a bucket list, wish list for you?
It's funny. I've been listening to you ask this to everybody on the other episodes, and I've been like, all right, what am I gonna say for this? I have no idea. Like I really do enjoy drawing. I love the traditional, and I love just seeing what I see as a reference and then being able to recreate it on the paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really proud of myself every time I do it. And I love the fact that some people are like, oh, I want to buy that. Like, so selling prints of it is really cool. But my biggest concern and worry has been like, if I try making this into a full-time gig, I'm going to end up hating art because I'm just going to be focused so much on turning it into a business that I'm just going to like lose love for it. So I keep it more as a hobby. And my goal, I guess, is really just to keep pushing myself to get better and better at it without losing touch with it and without losing the love for it, No,
that's a good answer. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Like I create art for myself and I'm passionate about it, but I don't want it to feel like a job. So that really, but since you've heard all my ending questions, maybe I'll throw a curveball at you. If you could only choose one thing to have for the rest of your life, clean sheets or a clean towel, what would you choose?
Oh, damn. Probably clean sheets.
Good answer. Because you can drip dry and have fresh sheets.
Exactly.
I like your answer.
Turn the fan on, have a nice breeze going.
Yeah, absolutely. Marco, what would have you chosen?
Now I don't want to say, because you already said what the right answer was. I don't want to go over here. A clean towel.
In my head, there's only one right answer, but in your head, there might be.
Well, no, you made me feel all self-conscious over here because I was going to pick the towel until you're all like, right answer. I was like, fuck, I was wrong.
There, I threw in a question you weren't prepared for.
I was not.
So I guess my next question, where do you see yourself in 10 years with your art, really doesn't matter because you just want to keep making art no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to get better, you know?
Is there any like mediums that you would love to try?
I feel like I kind of want to try painting some more. I did it more in college than anything else, and I really enjoyed it. I struggled when it came to like blending the paints and everything. And it's funny too, my professor in college and my high school teachers, all of them, every time they looked at whatever drawings I did, whether it was painting, charcoal, pencil, they were all like, "Oh, you draw comic book style." So they
Yeah.
were always like, "Yeah, you need to blend this edge." And I was like, "But I like, no, this is black, this is gray, and they're
I like the
separated."
hard lines.
Yeah.
But
See, I have a hard time with the hard lines with the black and the gray when I'm doing things. So like for me, I'm like I've had to really work at it when I'm drawing that kind of style. And I because I've always learned how to like blend it because that's what I was taught. So
right.
yeah, I definitely I'm trying to expand my horizons when it comes to different styles, but I love to paint and I love to draw, so I'm just kind of doing everything I can. I
Yeah.
could see you doing like printmaking.
I've thought about it, but I have no idea how to get started with it. Like I've watched Green Rabbit Press when they do all their screen prints, and I love how they do it. But
Yeah,
I have no idea how to even attempt it.
yeah. I think that you could have a lot of fun doing like lino or block cut, where you carve the image in,
Okay.
and it's like a reduction. So you're carving it in there, and then like everything that's going to be raised is going to be you use with the black, and that is a way more in-depth process. And when you get to multiple colors and things like that, it gets really really confusing because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
basically you start out and then carve, and then you make all your prints, and then you carve some more, and that's going to be a different color, and then you put that all over the top of those, and you basically match them up. It's really really interesting, and I've seen some really amazing prints like that. But that would lend itself really well to what you do.
Okay.
Where,
Yeah, you were
where
saying in the last episode, Cult Creep does that, right?
she does, yeah, she does some
Oh, yeah.
lino prints and like make stamps and things like that for it with them. So yeah, she
Yeah,
definitely
so I
does
might
some
have
lino
to
prints.
reach out to her, ask her how she does that.
Yeah, I've done it in the past, like when I was in college, and I've done some recently in the last 5 years or so. But you just
Okay.
have a little tool and you just cut it around.
Mhm.
Green Rabbit's done a lot from in the past as well. He's done some pretty giant lino cut prints and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not too scary, man. Like I wanted to do a stamp just for some brown bags, for local shows and all that with my name. And I just went in there. I went like, I'm gonna buy a block, and I got all the tools, and then I drew this thing. I was like, okay, let's do it. So it's just getting in there, dude, and doing it. It's really fun. And yeah,
Okay.
like Tyler said, you could do a lot of fun stuff with it too. I've seen people like blend the color in the same press. So you get your little roller and you put your color here on one side, you put your other color on the other side, and you roll that. So now you have like two different colors, and then you roll it on the stamp, and it kind of like blends that into it. So when you stamp it, you got that two-tone going on, and you can do 3 colors, you can do 4 colors, and you don't even have to carve. And then you can carve and put more stuff. It's really cool, man. Look into some videos there. You'll definitely get inspired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely gotta check that out.
Yeah, it makes a mess because you carving shit out of a block of wood or a block of, they call it lino, but it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it when I was in college. The one thing to remember about is you need to like flip everything you're gonna do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you got to do the reverse.
yeah. I fucked that up.
Yeah,
I had
that's
to
the
go
same
buy
with,
another block.
that's the same with glass painting. Like I've been trying to do those lately,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah,
I have my reference photo that I have to like kind of copy the image from, and I always forget when I first printed that I got to flip the image.
Yeah, you did that
Yeah,
Spike
so-
piece, man, where he was like, he had a skull, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, the Spike
yeah,
from
that was
Cowboy
sick.
Bebop.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
So-
this one too. This originally is a glass painting that
Nice.
a lot of people liked it, so I had it printed, made it up as prints, so I could sell those.
That's
So
dope.
the glass painting, like you start with you do it on the back, so you would start with like your outline and then work your way backwards, right?
Yeah, I always start with the like a black paint pen, and I draw out the outline of the image itself, and I make sure I get everything that's going to have black done. And then I lay down my darkest color. So I lay out all my blacks first, and then it's basically working backwards where you have to do your shadows first and then your highlights at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's a lot of fun, and the end results are just awesome.
Yeah. No, it's very, very much like that with Lino, but you're starting with your lights and then working to darks.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. What is some advice you would give your younger self about art?
Keep drawing. Like, there was a time that I stopped drawing for maybe a handful of years. And actually, when I went into college, my initial thought was, I want to get into graphic design, and I wanted to do it professionally. I wanted to do, like, design for video games or comics. But then when I got there, I kind of got like distraught because I saw all the other artists in my classroom, and I was like, I am nowhere near as good as these guys are, and we're all in the same grade. Like, how could they be so far ahead of me? And so that kind of like dissuaded me from it, and I went more into the medical field, where now I ended up like working in X-ray, but I still draw as a hobby, you know. But if anything, I would tell myself, just keep doing it and don't be discouraged by other people around you.
That's good advice. I don't know if you do a lot of reading, but I've been asking if there was one book that you read that influenced your art career in any way, shape, or form, whether it be like a tutorial book or an advice book on art, or even like a particular comic book that's like got you into artwork. What would that book be?
I mean, I do read a lot, but I read more like fantasy novels than anything.
Okay.
Not so much like, I haven't read any real like artist books. Like, I know you guys have been sharing a lot. I haven't read any of those yet, but I guess actually what got me really into drawing, it's gonna sound fucked up, was a Maxim magazine.
Okay.
So again, when I was younger, like I said earlier, my cousin Joey, he like was really a big influence in teaching me how to draw, because I would always watch him every time I went to his house. He was drawing like Dragon Ball Z characters, or he was coming up with his own comic book characters. And so one day I asked him, I was like, hey, can you teach me? Like, can you show me how to do this? And he had a Maxim magazine. He just opened it to a page and he told me, all right, draw this model. And so I looked at the picture and I started sketching it out, and I drew it as best I could. And then he drew it and he showed me, all right, this is how you can really make this look better. This is how you can adjust your highlights and your shadows and do the posture. And I still have both of those drawings in one of my sketchbooks. And I was actually just found that the other day, and I was like, oh wow, like this is really what got me started with this, and this is what's pushed me, and I just kept going from there. So I guess, shout out to Maxim for getting me started on my art career.
Well, yeah, and also shout out to your cousin Joey for, I mean, that's kind of a cool story. Like I've never heard of anybody be like, okay, I'm gonna flip open a page and be like, you draw this, and then I'm gonna draw it too, and we're gonna go from there. I like that. That's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, and he and I were always in contact with each other, and every time I draw something, I always send it to him. I'm like, all right, what do you think of this? What can I improve? How have I done here? And we're constantly going back and forth, giving advice on pieces.
That's awesome.
Now he was on the collab, correct? The original collab?
Yeah, he did this one up here and this one here.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and
he was definitely one of the people that I wanted involved with that.
Right on. Yeah, I actually still have his piece I need to send to him. We haven't heard back from him. I think he was out of the country.
Yeah, I think he's back now. So I'll reach out to him so we can I can get his address for you or whatnot, and we can send that over.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Well, I am out of questions. Marco, do you have anything else?
We're good, man. But you know me, we could stay here for hours just talking stuff, especially with
I got nothing going on.
That's the after show when we stop going live. We can sit there. That's the after show. That nobody gets to fucking see but us. All right. Well, Chris, thank you for stopping in, hanging out with us tonight, and talking comic books and anime and arts. Really appreciate you staying up late to talk to us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna leave everybody with a paint the fucking world.
And stay rebellious, guys.